brought to you by Chinook. Are we still? Are you? Did I disconnect on that? That was weird. The second I started it, all right, we'll start again.
Yeah, now there's 2 different Bretts in here right now.
Is there?
Yeah.
Damn, that's weird. Okay, well, let's get started. This episode 237 brought to you by Chinook Seedery. As always, for your sunflower seed needs, use the Skipper's View as your 10% discount code. That's Chinook CHINOOK. So, Hagen, technical difficulties will not stop us. I don't know what happened. There's been a lot of issues with Riverside recently. Definitely have to talk about it with our leader here, Dean, and just kind of figure out what we want to do. But that being said, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good, watched some golf, watched Scotty Scheffler make a crazy comeback today. Was 8 strokes back, and then ended up only losing by 2 today after having 3 eagles. So, I mean, it was a really fun round watching him today. Obviously, didn't get it done, but it was very fun watching some golf over there at Pebble Beach.
Is do you watch a lot of pro golf?
I'm starting to get into a lot, yeah.
Are you getting into it because of Scheffler, or are you getting into it because like the YouTubers making golf? I know you and I are both like avid golfers, but when I say that, like we just like to play. Like we're not good, but I don't watch it at all. I just like playing.
I mean, yeah, I just kind of get into it too. Just obviously like the Shambo stuff he puts out there. I just also something too like no football on now, where it's like I got to fill my time somehow without the baseball coming in yet. So more of a time filler too is something I enjoy watching. So I probably won't be watching as much when it comes to regular season baseball.
No, my jam's lacrosse, and like the best thing is like Vegas. Like, there's no big data sets on lacrosse yet, so like if you know lacrosse, you can kind of get away, especially early in the season when like Vegas's algorithm has not caught on to who's good and who's bad, and like they like put out a terrible line. It'll be like someone who's like a top 10 team who's like ranked like 18th because there's like only so many teams that play, and like they're playing someone that they're only favored by like 5 goals. It's like I'm hammering this team. It's free money, free money. But do not gamble. That is not advice to gamble. That's me doing my own thing. But let's talk baseball instead of gambling in our personal lives. Let's talk about Arizona because they brought back Zach Gallen on a 1-year deal. So from what I'm seeing, the deals were $22 million. So it was the same value as his qualifying offer that he rejected back in November, and now 14 million of it will be deferred. So this is according to a source that told and checked in with MLB's Mark Feinsand. Hagen, thoughts?
I saw this one coming. I put out a tweet probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago saying that at this point the Diamondbacks felt it made too much sense for him not to go back there, especially because we saw that the qualifying offer really killed his market a ton. I think if he doesn't have the qualifying offer, a team like the Braves, the Cubs would be able to swoop in there. But it's just you can't really justify giving up a first or second round pick right now for Zach Gallen, who was ERA is one of the worst in baseball last year pitchers. So I think it's just hard that I think the QO really screwed his market a lot. And obviously the Diamondbacks could make him a deal that no other team can make. Obviously, they didn't really do that. It was just the qualifying offer they gave him. But I mean, he's getting $22 million. Obviously, he's marketing it to work out great. He's going to get his $22 million, can try to rebound. Had some good stuff going for him in the second half last year and go out there and try to get that, whatever, 50, 60, whatever million he's going to get after that. So I think it's good too, especially that the Diamondbacks needed some pitching there too. Obviously, you have like Corbin Burns not going to be back until about the second half of the season, but he's going to be coming off TJ, so he's not going to be 100% there. So you bring Merrick Kelly back, you get Gallen in there. I mean, after that, it's Ryan Nelson and Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt, and Michael Soroka. I mean, they kind of needed a guy like Gallen in there because if one of those guys is down, the depth wasn't really there too. And Gallen has the quality to be a front rotation arm.
Yeah, Arizona clearly like what they're doing on the offensive side of the field. Like they went after and got Nolan Arenado. They decided not to move any of their guys. Like they didn't move Ketel Marte. They have Geraldo Perdomo. They have Corbin Carroll, who's now obviously bummer broke his handmade bone. But I am happy he got the surgery right away to deal with it. So this hopefully is not lingering into like the middle of the summer. I have him everywhere in fantasy, so this is devastating to me. Um, that being said, like they needed pitching quality, and like we just saw Jordan Montgomery. We'll talk about him later. He joins Texas, leaving this team. It was a bad deal, and And I think that adding Zach Gallen and maybe a couple other veteran pitchers, they can, they're playing and making moves like a team that they think they're going to be over 500, if not better. And I think that it's going to be close, but they're pitching, Hagen. I just can't get on board with like, if you look at the Arizona Diamondbacks roster, who's their number one pitcher right now?
I mean, you would hope it's Gallen in the middle of the season, but I think what he showed last year, it's probably Mel Kelly, which is crazy to say.
That's my point. Merrill Kelly, okay, he's good. He's better than good. He's not, but like he's not. He's not a guy that I feel confident throwing out like in a must-win playoff game as my SP1. I don't feel that way in Zach Allen, especially after that, like the way his performance has been as of late. Ryan Nelson, okay, he is literally their SP3. He is an SP3 at best. Eduardo Rodriguez, sometimes has elite, K/9 ratio, sometimes isn't available. So and Brandon Fott, Soroka, like you said, Soroka's had his fair share of injuries and issues. Brandon Fott, he was like minor league pitcher of the year 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? And then he came up and got destroyed a bunch. And like he showed some quality stuff in the MLB. The point is these guys are all shaky at best in my mind. I think Arizona needs to add some depth, even though like if these guys hold up, sure, it could really work out and I could be eating, crud here, but I just don't see it with this rotation right now. Like it's no one checks the boxes. Like I feel very good heading into this game with this pitcher starting.
I mean, yeah, just kind of back at your point there. I mean, like Merrill Kelly's I like Merrill Kelly as a pitcher a lot, but as a one, even as a two, I'd be like, no way, I don't really like the sound of that. I think Merrill Kelly's a three, you could a four in a very good rotation. You could argue, but I mean, just like you're saying, the rotation's shaky. Obviously, you're going to get Burns back, and hopefully, he can kind of build himself later for if they do get to the playoffs. He'll be closer to what he was pre TJ for the playoffs there. But I mean, even to like their bullpen, we didn't even talk about like they had Justin Martinez, their closer last year, get Tommy John surgery. Then AJ Puck filled in, he got Tommy John surgery. And then Andrew Salfrank just got surgery too on a shoulder a few days ago. And I believe he was slotted in to be one of their high leverage guys this year. So their bullpen's really taking a big hit too. So they're going to have to find someone to step up. I know they just signed Paul Sewell the other day. But I mean, the D-backs are kind of just following the same approach they have the last couple of years, where it's just you have an offense that rakes and a pitching that just shaky. You just have to win games scoring 7 runs a game. So, I mean, if you look up in 2024, they were the third best offense by WRC plus. Last year, they were the ninth best offense, but their offense rakes. And I mean, you put an offense that rakes and you pair that with shaky pitching. That's why the Arizona Diamondbacks have a lot of the funnest games in baseball to watch.
According to Fangraphs, they have four guys out of their was this seven guys in the bullpen. 4 guys are predicted to have over a 4 ERA, Hagen, and they're relievers. That's not good. I hate this because Corbin Carroll's because I bought his autograph. He has legitimately become one of my favorite players in baseball, and I just want to see the Diamondbacks. I want to see the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Giants all be little thorns in the side of the Dodgers all year long. This is why I'm upset. I think the division is way better than what it gets credit for because the Dodgers are so top heavy, and it's like everyone just looks as like the Padres are little brother, and the Giants haven't really been relevant, like really, really relevant in a few years. And the you look at the Diamondbacks, it's like they did go to a World Series recently. Like they just, I don't know, they're not feared, and I would like them to be a much better program, much better organization, especially on the pitching front. But we could jump ahead. They made moves to get Gallen. Let's see what other guys they could add to the fold there. Want to jump to the east side of the National League. We want to talk about Philly and Bryce Harper because there's a lot going on right now about this whole interview with Dombrowski said of quote unquote Bryce Harper not being elite anymore. Hagen, where do you stand? Like, and Dombrowski, I guess, if did you listen to Harper's interview on this?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was very kind of telling too.
Yeah. So, like, he says, like, when I joined the team, it was understood, and we talked about it, was one of the priorities was like, what happens in that ball club stays in house. And like Bryce Harper seems pretty hurt about this. I don't know if Philly will like the trade Bryce Harper if he did request a trade at some point. That would be bonkers. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we've talked about this. We don't like Zach Wheeler is the good news is he's trending actually in a positive direction to getting more and more playing time this year rather than what our worst fears were of him not being able to play baseball anymore. The rotation, you've talked about it. I've talked about it. Taijuan Walker, he's another year older as an SP4. Jesus Luzardo, who's been more or less like he has elite stuff, but he's been up and down his entire career. Christopher Sanchez is great. And then you have, Aaron Nola, who, he's had great years, but he's getting older and he's coming off a bad year. So like I think we're both shaky on our thoughts of the Philly rotation. Who's to say like if they don't get off to a great start and things don't seem to be working and the tensions rise a little bit with Harper, do we see Harper get moved at the deadline this year? It because Philly, we know that their top two prospects are probably going to make the team and play, and then after that, it's kind of like a lot of wasteland in the farm system for Philly right now. It's not a deep farm system.
I mean, I could see the thought process behind it, especially after we had like last year. There was the whole Rafael Devers when it was the front office there, the communication just the clear they weren't getting along there at the beginning of the season with Devers, and then he's gone 2 months into the season there. So I see that's kind of what the Harper situation would be like, is if he does get moved, kind of be similar to the Devers one, I guess, in a way. But I think there's no way. I mean, Bryce Harper wants to be a Philly for everything that I've seen, and even too like the contract. Like I know that he's got about 7 years on. He's under contract till 2023 or 2033, excuse me, and he's making $27 million at most in any of those years. Like I mean, it's still like I know he's going to regress overall just for his age and everything, but like that contract's not bad at all. There's a reason why that Scott Boras was trying to get the Phillies to rework it to add more money on for Bryce Harper because he was still a very good player and one of the best players in Major League Baseball. But I just on the comments that Nebraska said, I think that that was him almost trying to get more out of Bryce Harper. I don't think that was the right way to go about it. Doing that in the public and saying that, I think there was a lot better ways he could have handled that. I think that was kind of a bad situation from the start. And I think Harper gave a good answer too, where he was just kind of saying, "Hey, when I signed here, we said this was going to be held in house, and I don't need the motivation like that to prove why I should improve. I know I'm one of the best players in the world, all that." So I like the way Harper answered the question. I mean, he seemed a little ticked off about it, rightfully so. Though, if your GM's coming out and saying you're not elite anymore and you're the star of the team, I feel a little upset too. But I don't think there's any way they even trade him. I think he's Philly for life.
This is what I would say. Like Bryce Harper is fiery enough where like I don't think like Bryce Harper, and I don't know everything about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper to me, he's not a guy that has taken shit ever in his life. And I feel that like if you spurn him enough, he's fiery. He would ask for a trade. I'm looking at his contract, and he's at $27.5 million this year, all the way through the end of 2028. And then after that, 2029 through 2031, it's $24 million a year, essentially. And he's going to be ages 36, 37, 38. I don't know if any team wants to take on that contract. That's a lot of money to bring on, but I'm just saying, Philly, think about it. If they do not start hot, and let's just say the Braves and the Mets are as good as like their rosters show they can be, and Miami, we know Peter Bendix is not messing around right now, and like they've improved. That I think that Alcantara and Yuri Perez are going to, be. I think one of my wild takes this year is I think they're going to be a top 5 1-2 punch duo in the entire league, and they're both coming off kind of shakier years and injuries. So I think the NL East is going to be a gauntlet. So if if this does not work out for Philly, I don't think it's crazy to think that Bryce Harper can get moved. I'll end it at that. Let's move on though. Let's talk about the CBA because this is getting really, really big this week. Like it's been going on for a little bit, but like with no big moves this week, this lingering conversation about the CBA and next season and a lockout coming, it seems to be growing, Hagen, that we are in fact like I don't know if it looks like a rat, smells like a rat, moves like a rat, it's a rat, and it just seems like we are destined for an all-out war on this labor negotiation. So I want to talk a little bit about some things I saw and like just like pieces of this, and let's talk about it a little bit. So according to ESPN, the Kyle Tucker deal to Los Angeles has, really pissed off owners, and they want to push for the salary cap. Nearly all of them want it. And if all the owners are in unison, these guys who have the money and are paying all these organizations, like that's a big deal if they're all in favor of something. So in quotations, they are ready to burn the fucking house down to get it to stop the Dodgers and boost franchise valuations. This is all that I saw. And then on the other hand, players, obviously they hate the cap. It expires after the 2026 season. So 2027 is looking real shaky right now. I did see the MLB has not lost any games due to a work stoppage since the 1994 season. So virtually as long as I've been alive, 31 years, right there since a work stoppage. And they had a 144 game schedule. So they lost about a little bit less than 20 games. Hagen, I know last time we talked about this, you were dead set on you don't think there's going to be a lockout. Where's your head at now?
I think the lockout's inevitable to happen here. I'm still pretty dead set that a salary cap will not happen. Unless owners want to spend $200 million a year on payroll at the bottom, okay, then you get a salary cap then. But I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think too, all these owners are saying, all right, the salary cap, the Dodgers. The team they have right now is going to be very good for at least 3 years, whatever it's going to be, of like being the best team in baseball without a doubt. If you get a salary cap in here, you have to grandfather in. It might take 10 years to get the salary cap fully implemented because you have to hold true to the contracts they already have. You can't just say, oh, you have to cut these contracts off. You have to hold true to what they are right now. So slowly as the contracts come off the books, you have to work it in that way. The Dodgers are still going to be very good. I mean, they're still probably the best team at drafting and developing too in Major League Baseball. I mean, they're able to do that and create prospects and then trade them for guys like Mookie Betts for the Red Sox who didn't want to pay him. And then you're able to go pay guys like Freddie Freeman. I get you spend the money. And obviously they have like the big TV deal. Like they have an advantage. They have clear advantage because of Shohei Ohtani. You can't deny that at all. But I think just the salary cap is just not the way to go, in my opinion. And a big reason too, I always talk about this is when you look at the Dodgers, before 2 years ago, what were the Dodgers? They were the joke of, oh, this team is awesome. They win the division every year, but they choke in the playoffs every single year. And it was a joke. Every fan made the joke every time, oh, the Dodgers choked again. The second they start winning with around the same payrolls, I know the payrolls have pretty skyrocketed recently, but they were still the number one team in payroll pretty much every single year. If you go back to about like 2013, they pretty much led baseball in payroll back then. No one gave a shit until they started winning games. Everyone just thought it was funny that they were choking, like the Mets. Like no one gave a shit about the Mets because they think it's funny because they choke every year with that payroll. If the Mets started winning, people start complaining about the Mets doing the same thing. Like it just, if you look too, I don't have the math in front of me right here, but if you do like just inflation on what the value of the dollar is from the Dodgers payroll, I believe it was like 10 years ago, it's pretty much the same value like for the dollar as it is today. Like that, the inflation is how it's worked in. I mean, they had a very high payroll 10 years ago, but just no one talked about it because they didn't win.
Yeah, and the other thing is like the owners who are pissed at the Dodgers about this, like you let this happen. You make trades like sending Scherzer and Trey Turner to Los Angeles for prospects like Kyber Ruiz and Josiah Gray and expect to win the deal. Like, get out of here. Like, it's proven time and time again. And the Yankees, for all the years that and I'm comparing because the Yankees do a lot of this too, where they sign older veteran guys, kind of the way the Dodgers, like, look at who they re-signed this week. They got their big pieces in Tucker, and they got their big pieces Edwin Diaz earlier this year. Now they just sit back. They have prospects in the funnel, and they're able to make trades and get who they want. And yeah, they're going above and beyond in what they spend because what they're able to generate in revenue, but they're winning games because they make guys like Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani and who, name them. They signed the best MLB players to long-term contracts. The Yankees did the same thing. They have their guys they fall back on. They're running it back. They signed Bellinger, who's their guy, their big piece for the offseason to shore up the outfield. They got Trent Grisham back, who had a great year. And I'm only comparing. I'm not trying to compare the Yankees because I'm a Yankee guy. Like I'm just like these are organizations that seem to either get to the World Series or win World Series a lot. And you can't just like I know when it's addicting. Like I love playing. I know it's not fantasy baseball, but it's addicting to trade for prospects because it's like, oh, look at all these like young toolsy guys we could bring in. It's like, okay, do they hit? Do they hit better than Alex Bregman? No, let's go sign Alex Bregman. You know what I mean? Like it just like to me, it's crazy that we keep falling into this like trade pattern. Like even with the Tampa Bay Rays, they move guys at the right time, and then they go sign veteran MLB guys that like the Nick Martinez in the world. We just saw that happen 2 weeks ago. Watch him be a stud with Tampa, and he was cost how much money? Less than 4 million, I think, for the year. The managers are mad at themselves for not running their teams as good as LA's been running their team. That's essentially what the issue is. I
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just excellence. I mean, yes, they have the financial constraints to be able to the budget to do sign a Shohei Ohtani is $700 million. I understand that point too of like not probably four teams in baseball or can and willing to do that. And it'd probably be obviously like saw like the Red Sox, it was Soto, but like the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Red Sox, like those just Giants, maybe like those are the teams like if you're going to get that much money, even if you're going to go over $300 million, there's only a certain amount of teams that are going to be able to just go be able to get the guy. But you do that, that helps you out a ton there. I mean, if you just when they signed Shohei Ohtani too, like they saw it as a business and they said what we can get out of this guy, like how much money this guy's going to bring in, the opportunity of getting the Japanese market over there too. You sign Shohei Ohtani and then you're able to get Yoshio Yamamoto and Naoki Sasaki over to your team. You do that, that's built a good Japanese pipeline on your team there. I mean, then if you look at just other pillars on this team, Mookie Betts, the Red Sox didn't want to pay him, so they traded him away. Tyler Glass now, the Rays didn't want to pay him, so they traded him away. Obviously, Kyle Tucker, yes, he took the money there, but like Will Smith, homegrown. Max Muncy was DFA'd by the A's. They found him there. Andy Pages is a guy that they developed there too. I mean, this team is just, they've made certain moves that have set up other ones. It's not just like the Otani move has set up future moves in the Japanese market. That was a huge move for them. And then you mix that together with great development and great scouting with guys and teams that don't want to pay their players, you're going to get a roster like this. I mean, it's literally excellence from, they have the best farm system to pair with it too. I mean, it's literally organizational excellence.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. And you know, I'm kind of disappointed that it's come to this because it's like every other job in the world, you could make a market for how much you're worth, right? And like eh, you're telling me that the Goldman, like the CEO of Goldman Sachs, has a salary cap? No, like he or she, whoever it is, like you always see these ridiculous CEO salaries at these companies. It's like because they generate that much revenue. So like, why should you hold back a player if they're excelling for your team? I don't agree with that. And like owners take the risk of joining the game. You are literally creating a product for your fans, and it's as much money as you put into it, you're going to get out of it. The Dodgers, look how much revenue they by signing Otani. They took a gamble that like, oh, by signing the biggest star in Japanese history, we're going to get the Japanese market and sell a billion jerseys. Like, come on, like that just makes sense why they did it. And they didn't they make already make back his like full deal or like half of his deal's worth in the first year or two of like him playing.
Yeah, it was reported that after the first season, they already paid off his contract essentially.
Yeah, like come on, they just get smarter and take more risk. You know, you don't win big by betting small. So let's move on though, because there's just going to be so much that comes out about the CBA over the next, essentially the next year till this time next year when things will probably be very heated at this, time in baseball. Let's talk about news and injuries. So Josh Hader, all-star closer for Houston, he missed the final 2 months last year with the left shoulder capsule strain. He had to pause his offseason throwing program about 10 days ago because of arm soreness. He was diagnosed with biceps tendonitis and resumed throwing he resumed throwing on the 11th, so 4 days ago. Hey, again, we worried about Josh Hader missing some time this year?
I wouldn't be too worried about it, honestly. I know it's kind of hard when you miss the end of the last season too, and then you pair it with this. You don't really want to hear pitchers getting hurt right at the beginning of the year. But obviously, I'm not as familiar with bicep tendonitis as the pitcher how it's going to affect you. But if it's an arm, if it was an elbow soreness thing, I'd be a little worried here. But because it's just a bicep thing, I'm not too worried about him. Just take your time when you're back. You're back.
And they got Abreu as well, so like they have a guy who can go get saves for them right at the end there. Let's talk about Chris Bassett. So Chris Bassett agrees to a 1-year deal with Baltimore. Um, Baltimore needed this. I've been, giving a lot of shit to Baltimore's rotation because it's kind of just shaky. And then I took a good look at it today, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm off because right now. I was looking at it. They got Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Chris Bassett, Shane Boz, Zach Eflin, and Dean Kramer. If Shane Boz, who came over from Tampa, very hyped prospect, has had some MLB success, but obviously Tampa was ready to part ways. If Baltimore can unlock some with him and Zach Eflin, like gets back to what Zach Eflin could do, and same with Dean Kramer, I think this is a decent rotation. It's clear it's obviously not the best rotation, and they suffer the same thing that Arizona does. And I don't know why I'm looking at it more optimistically for Baltimore than I am for Arizona, but it just seems like a lot of SP3s on the roster.
I mean, yeah, that's a good way to put it. You could say there's a bunch of SP3s. I think they almost like I think they just have a very solid floor, I would say. I mean, that the upside is definitely capped, I would say, obviously. But you have a guy like Trevor Rogers last year who I mean, the dude pitched a 1.8 ERA in 110 innings. I know it was only 110 innings, and that was the first time in his career he's done that, and his expected was double that. But I mean, if he can find some success around there too and be a frontline type of arm, that's huge. Obviously, Boz, they're looking for something to get out of him in the trade. I think he can be a high upside guy in the rotation. And also, you got Kyle Bradish, who everyone's been saying it for years now. This guy can be an ace. He just needs to stay healthy, have some things go right for him. So I think it's almost like they're looking at it and they say we have our ace in Kyle Bradish and we trust Trevor Rogers and Shane Boz as 2 and 3s. And then you just improve the floor there with Chris Bassett, with a guy you know is going to go out there and give you a 3.8, whatever it is, and he's going to eat innings for you. I mean, Chris Bassett was one of the most fun pitchers on the free agent market. I mean, it's not a huge name by any means, but especially with the free agent market this year, it was kind of one of the fun names out there that was just kind of would fit for a lot of great teams. So I would like to do a lot for him. I'm a big Chris Bassett guy. I think he'd be a great pitcher for him this year. And I think I agree with you too, where it's like they needed another start in this rotation. Yes, it sucks. You don't go get like a Framber. I think of a Gallen, didn't have the QO. He could have been the guy here. But it is just very good to see them do this, shore up the rotation, especially after what they did on the offensive side this offseason.
Yeah. Um, no, I'm glad we agree there. Colorado, and I want to talk about them in a positive and negative light because I did. So I think we'll start with the negative. Just finish on a positive note with Colorado. So Chris Bryant lands on the 60-day IL. Chris Bryant has not played after April 12th of last season. He's only played 170 games, so just over one full season since signing his 7-year, $182 million contract with Colorado back in 2022. So we're heading into the 2026 season, 2022 season, 2023, 2024, 2025, 4 full seasons of Bryant in Colorado, and he's played less than like just over one full season of baseball. Uh, is this as bad as the Anthony Rendon contract?
I mean, it just sucks. I mean, I know Dean put out a post the other day. And he was comparing, like everyone says, the Rendon one was worse. He's like, Rendon had +4, Chris Bryant's -4 during this contract, and it sucks too because like I know they're going to compare. I can see that why that both don't play, but it's hard because we all know Anthony Rendon and how he is a person. Like the Chris Bryant one just sucks because he's just been actually dinged up with so many injuries over and over and over again that he just literally can't stay healthy. That's when it just actually kind of sucks. I believe he was dealing with a condition that I think David Wright had too. I think he's had some. It might be some spinal stenosis he's been dealing with too. He's having some condition though that he's been talking to a previous player about, like something that's just not gonna keep you on the field very long, try to deal with it. But it does suck, especially when you look at like the Rockies go give a dude $180 million. and he's just not good at all. He's one of the worst contracts of all time. It sucks because then it's kind of disincentivizing them in the future of taking shots on guys like that. You're muted, so
Yeah, sorry, I was
there.
on mute there. So I think I hit the space bar there. The thing I'll say is the war, sure, like statistically speaking, Dean's got a point, but Rendon didn't want to play anymore. Like it was just like a bad teammate from my perspective, at least. I don't know if his teammates would say that, but me being an outsider, I'd say that. Like I would be pissed if I was the end of the Angels bench and I see this guy making this much money and I'm here every day grinding and I can't get ahead, right? And I'm just not as talented as this guy down the other side of the bench who either A is injured or B doesn't want to play. And you know what I mean? Like the how that's got to be so so I don't even know how to say like such a downer being in that ball like being in that ball club and that would be going on. Like I'd be pissed. I'd be annoyed. Um but this sucks for Chris Bryant. Outside of that, Colorado, was reading an article. They've added like plus 5 or 6 more this year in the offseason. They just landed Tomoyuki Sagano for a 1 year, $5.1 million contract. They've made some moves. Like they also added Jose Quintana to the rotation this year. They added Michael Lorenz into the rotation this year. They added Willie Castro. Who knows? Who knows? A game here or there, and Rockies could be not the worst team in baseball anymore. It'll definitely be the Nationals by the end of the year.
I mean, I'm already on the train of the Rockies won't be the worst team in baseball. I mean, I was literally talking to Will about it a couple weeks ago about how the Nationals win total was like 14 wins higher than the Rockies. And I'm like, the Nationals are going to finish with the worst record, not the Rockies. Hammer the Rockies over. That's something I've been big on recently. But I mean, like you're saying, they made moves. They're making good moves. DePodesta, ever since he came in there as president of baseball operations, made some really good moves for him, which I like, especially the Quintana one. Like, I love the Quintana one because it's like, just get guys who could just be around the zone. I mean, Arm Lane highlighted this too, where it's just like, you can't, people are always going to struggle pitching in Colorado. Hitting, it's not an issue. I mean, so if you can just get hitters and get pitchers that could just try to limit as much damage as possible, home runs are going to happen there. You get guys who aren't going to walk people. They're going to be, I mean, Sagano and Quintana, they don't really walk that many people. So it's just, let's just get guys who can eliminate the walks, eliminate the extra passes. So if it is a home run, it's hopefully a 1-run shot, 2-run shot, not a 3-run shot or a grand slam there. And you're getting guys who can just eat innings for you too, especially the young club. I like the Quintana signing. I really like. I've always been a big Quintana guy, especially just how he locates his pitches a lot. The Sagano one, I think, is very funny, and I think it's interesting on how they're going to be using him because there's been obviously talk already of, can you just throw this guy only on the road? Can you just use him only on the road? Because I know that sounds kind of stupid, but like this guy last year for the Orioles, he had 30 starts at a 4.6 ERA. In those 30 starts, he had 33 home runs. That was just playing in Baltimore. Now he's going to be playing Coors. That could be 45 home runs he gives up if he pitches 30 games. I mean, so you just put him only on the road. If you can work it out that way, that already benefits you, I think, a lot more and benefits him. So I think in Colorado, this guy would give up a lot of home runs.
Yeah. That's a good call out, actually. Damn. All right. Well, the Yankees make a small deal. They acquired infielder Max Schumann from the Athletics in exchange for a minor league pitcher, Luis Burgos. New York designated outfielder Yanquiel Fernandez for assignment in the corresponding move. The Athletics, they go ahead and sign Aaron Savale, 1 year, $6 million. I want to say our boy Sammy he was on that very early calling that out. So good for Sam to kind of break that news.
He was on there about like 4 days early, I believe, on that one.
I don't even know. He obviously wouldn't tell us, but he was on that early. He had a warning on that. Detroit, they signed Austin Slater. Texas, we mentioned this earlier. They signed Jordan Montgomery. I kind of like that for Texas. Like Jordan Montgomery has not been good, but it's kind of like, if he comes back to his form, SP4, SP5, that's kind of like a high, like low risk, very high reward type situation for Texas.
I mean, yeah, man, you just bring a guy back there who was there on that World Series team, had some success there with you. Bring on a minor league deal if you need some innings, you can get something out of him. Hopefully, I personally am not a big Jordan Montgomery guy. I just kind of I don't really think he's a major league pitcher anymore. I think last year too, I just with the stuff with obviously just kind of complaining about everything. You're taking millions of dollars to sign with the team, then you're going to complain about the ballpark and all this. Like you should have thought about it before. So I've soured on him a little bit.
Yeah. Like, well, that's normal. I feel like everyone's kind of soured on him, but that's the point. Um, that being said, let's jump to the Athletics. They also, and the Braves. They signed Jonah Heim. Do you think that this is a what kind of like a warning flag that they're going to move Murphy here before the deadline for whatever they need? Because they already got Drake Baldwin, who's probably going to get an extension.
I think it kind of depends how good Heim looks. I mean, because I think they said that Murphy's going to miss a month or so of the season to start the year. So he's obviously going to be, they just needed a backup catcher too, because you don't want Baldwin catching every single day. So I don't know if they're going to keep him in. Like if he starts to rake, then it's like we have an asset now. We can trade Sean Murphy, get something else. Maybe we can try to get a starter for him, whatever it is. You could do that. I think it's more just like you're just trying to fill a spot here until Murphy's back and tell him to kind of, hey, take your time now. We got an MLB caliber catcher that can fill in for us right now. And take your time. Don't rush. And we can have someone if we come back.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe I'm looking at it the cynic way. Um, the Washington Nationals signed Miles Mikolas, 1 year, $2.25 million contract, and with that, I think he's now Washington's best pitcher. That's why we think this team's going to be horrible in 2026.
Yeah, it's probably him as the best pitcher. I mean, the one thing too, like Miles Michaelis, a lot of people I talked to, it was one of the probably the biggest pitcher names that was brought up this offseason, which sounds really weird to say because Miles Michaelis has not been a good pitcher whatsoever. But I mean, at $2.25 million, that dude could throw you 150 innings at a 6 ERA. You're getting the money's worth in that. If you just look at Miles Michaelis, like what he's really good at is like, yes, the ERAs like the last 3 years been a 4.8, a 5.3, and a 4.8. But if you look, the last 4 years, he's 30 starts every single year. I mean, this guy is one of the most reliable guys in baseball. To just every fifth day, I know he's gonna be able to start there, and I think there's some value to that, especially on a team like the Nationals, where you have a bunch of young guys in there. You're gonna need innings filled because this pitching staff is not good, and you don't want it to be too dreadful when it's August and the dog days in summer. So, just having a guy out there you just rely on going out there every 5 days, I think is very important.
Yeah, it is important to have it. I hate to call him an innings eater, but at this point of his career, I think this is exactly the right definition of how to describe Miles Mikolas is he will be an innings eater for the Nationals, unfortunately. I'm just glad we got the baseball trip out of DC last year before it really went because I don't know when they're going to be good again. We have no idea. Um, let's keep moving forward though. Let's talk about Gary Sanchez. He signed with the Brewers, 1 year, $1.75 million deal. I think that's a good depth piece. Why not get a little pop in the catcher position, backing it up? Uh, Arizona, you mentioned this earlier, signs Paul Seaball back to a deal. The Dodgers, they had a lot of news this week. So they signed Max Muncy to a 1 year contract extension, $10 million guaranteed, $7 million salary for 2027, and a $10 million club option for 2028. I think this was a generous offer to Max Muncy at this point of his career. No, or do you think that this was a loyalty deal? Or
I think this is more just like a Max Muncy. At least I viewed it. I mean, like the reports were out there too that he left a little bit of money on the table to return to the Dodgers, but it was just him just saying, "I'm willing to take a little bit less money to remain a Dodger for the rest of my career." So that's why I view it.
um, I just meant like he's older now. I feel like the Dodgers didn't even need to spend this much on him, but I guess maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? They also re-signed Evan Phillips and they re-signed Kike Hernandez, so they're a little bit running it back from last year's roster. And why not? They won the last two World Series. Anything on Kiki or Evan Phillips?
Yeah, Evan Phillips is one of those guys on the minor league. I thought the Mets really wanted him to get. I was really advocating for the Mets to go out and get him. Obviously, just the timing on these ones, it just seemed inevitable. These guys were out, especially Kike. Like everyone knew he was going to be a Dodger, especially the timing too, where right when the 60-day opens up, and you can put guys on the IL, don't have to DFA anybody. It's right when they sign these guys. So the timing just was inevitable of them almost having agreements in place with the Dodgers in the first part and just saying, hey, once the IL opens up, that's if we're going to make the deal.
Yeah. They also made a trade with the Minnesota Twins. They sent Anthony Banda in exchange for international bonus money after he was designated for assignment. That is Banda. So, yeah, let's give the Dodgers more money to find international talent for a reliever they don't want anymore. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a good, smart move.
Yeah, the
How
Dodgers are
does this
so
work, by the
good.
way? Maybe
Sorry, go ahead.
how if you get designated for assignment, how were they able to trade him after they designated him for assignment?
You can still it gets a little tricky. You can look to trade him for I think it's 7 days you have to look to trade him or teams can claim him. I don't know exactly in relation how that works with the claiming process because obviously teams like the Rockies would be the number one on the claim list right now. And then it just goes reverse order of standings last year. I don't know exactly how it works with how if you can when you decide to trade or not. I will look into that though and figure out a better answer. But I know that you can. You have 7 days to make the trade. But the Dodgers might be the only team that I can see that can DFA a guy and a DFA on a cheap contract too. It's not like they're DFAing him because he has making so much money clogging a roster spot. DFA a guy because they're so good right now and get international free agent money, which is teams like to get that.
Yeah. Um, let's keep moving. Toronto, they this was an interesting deal. For those who don't find this interesting, what happened was Houston sent Jesus Sanchez to Toronto in exchange for Joey Loperfido. So for Houston, this was a salary move. I think they gained like 7 or 8 million back in salary by moving Sanchez, but they traded Joey Loperfido last year. Maybe was it a year and a half ago or last year?
I believe it was last year.
Doesn't really matter the timing. They moved him. He was a highly coveted prospect, moved him to Toronto, and now they're bringing him back. Do you make this? I love moves like this because it shows me like, ooh, Houston really did value him. They had to move him at the time as a business decision. So I'm curious to see how this pans out. I don't like that Toronto got another. Sanchez can crank some home runs, so this is good for Toronto, especially. But they're taking on the contract value of that. So, any thoughts on that move or?
This wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I'm big on Jesus Sanchez. I would rather have the Toronto Blue Jays return in this deal for sure. But I think it was more just the Astros just saying that, hey, we like Joey Loperfido more than Jesus Sanchez. And yes, the controls baked in there too. I believe Sanchez has 2 years of team control, I believe. Loperfido's got 4. So the team was always kind of struggling around the budget. That's just important there. So I think that's kind of why they looked at it a little bit there. And then you also look at it like they have Zach Cole performed pretty well for him last year, who's another left-handed right fielder there. So I think it shows some confidence in him too, saying, hey, we can put this guy out there. We feel confident in there every single day.
Yeah. Toronto also, if you haven't been paying attention to this, anyone listening, Shane Bieber has been dealing with a little arm soreness, forearm fatigue, but he says he feels good. I don't think there's anything right now to really talk about, but just keep an eye on it. San Diego made some headlines this week because they added 2 veteran arms in Herman Marquez and Griffin Canning to the rotation. And then they also went out and got Nick Castellanos after he was released out of his Philly contract. So, Hagen, I want to talk about Castellanos for a minute here. For those who haven't been paying attention with the former Philadelphia Philly and what's been going on. So, Thursday this week, they released Nick Castellanos. He responded by writing a handwritten letter thanking the organization, his teammates, fans. He also addressed the Miami incident. So this was back into reference into his June benching the day after he was removed late for defensive reasons late in the game. And it was, if you saw this, he brought a beer into the dugout after he was benched, claimed he didn't drink it, which I'm like, who goes and grabs a beer, especially to the dugout, and then you're not going to drink it? Like, I don't know who does that, but it was just like, it seemed like this was destined for divorce. And so the Phillies, they decided to release him, and they said that the relationship was just broken. And The Athletic, they spoke to over a dozen Philly players, staff members, and officials to detail the complicated relationship. So all this facts and findings is from this, and it just, what do you think? Do you think Philly messed up here? Do you think the Padres, one man's trash is another man's treasure? Like, how do you want to describe this?
I mean, the first thing is that we saw this coming. I mean, I think it was Dave Dombrowski's end of season press conference or one of his first ones early in the offseason. And he told the media, this guy's not going to be on our roster come opening day. So and he said that like 3 months ago. And then obviously they tried to trade him. And then they told him, I believe it was on Monday, they told him, hey, if you're still on the team by the time you need to report, don't show up. And that's when it was like, yeah, it's not coming back at all. I do think, like, obviously, the Castellanos thing, you can't be doing that. Like, and there was just a lot of issues, too, that obviously wasn't really working out with Philly there. I mean, just both sides, like you said, just the relationship was just so damaged. And I think both sides knew that just we got to move on from each other here. We're not really going to make this work there. So, I mean, I think it was good that they kind of moved on from it there. I do think the Phillies could have handled it a little bit better. Obviously, the Castellanos did some bad things. Yes, you can't deny that what he did. I think they could have done handled this a lot better. I mean, you've been trying to move the guy for 3.5 months. It's been known, at least I believe the whole time, you weren't getting a single thing back for him. You are just going to have to DFA him at the end of the day. You try it for 3.5 months and you wait till 3 days before the dude has to report for spring training, and then you cut him. That was like, I think that was a little bit of bullshit, in my opinion, on why they would do that. Whether that was them trying to send him a message, kind of last screw you or something like that, or if that was just generally they were trying to the last possible day. But you knew 3 months ago you weren't going to get anything back for him. Like, if anything, you were going to save $2 million, which that doesn't really mean anything. So I think they could have handled it a little bit better, but I do like the Padres picking him up there. AJ Preller there, 3 deals, 3 guys there. Where obviously, yes, they needed starting pitching too. Obviously, you get those guys in Marquez and Canning there, which I really love both those signings there too. But Castellanos, they've kind of needed those quarter outfield guys every single year. They always get those cheap guys. I mean, like 2 years ago it was Jerson Profar. They got on a 1 year, $1 million deal, and he was phenomenal for him. I mean, they'll just kind of take those shots on those corner guys every single year, and I like the Castellanos for him.
Dude, I think with just looking at their depth chart right now, Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, Ramon Laureano, who people are big on for this season right now, Gavin Sheets, Xander Bogarts is hitting in the sixth slot for this team, and Cronenworth, Miguel Andujar, Freddie Fermin. Those are their 7, 8, and 9 hitters. That's not bad. That's actually like kind of scary, especially hypothetically speaking. If Miguel Andujar does not work out of the DH spot, they could plug Castellanos in the DH. They could also at left field, Ramon Laureano. If that does not go as well as what people are thinking he's going to have for this upcoming season, that's where Castellanos can also bring some value. Like, I think the Dodgers the Padres kind of have a loaded lineup here that like is very low key. If Jackson Merrill bounces back and Tatis is back to where he's at, damn, this is a good lineup.
I mean, yeah, there's a reason why, like the last 2 years, the Padres might be my second most watched team besides the Mets. Because yes, the time zones, it's nice being able to turn on a game at 8 p.m. and just kind of watch that. But also, too, this roster is very fun. Obviously, you got the superstars in there, and then you find good pieces like Gavin Sheets last year. I know he tapered off a little bit, but that was awesome watching Gavin Sheets, who's done nothing in his career really. Just going to be awesome for San Diego last year. Be a big part on that. Obviously, like you got a guy like Andujar this year could be hopefully be that guy like that last year. And you're going to have a full-on healthy Jackson Merrill. I get Tatis as a year old, or you have Tatis now, who's like still an MVP caliber player. Like I'm still a firm believer that this guy's got to win an MVP at some point in his career. I know he has not been anything since 2021 Fernando, whatever it was, when he had the whole PED suspension, but he's got it in there. I mean, he won the Platinum Glove, whether he should have or not. I mean, this Padres team is very, very good.
Yeah. And now you get add Canning and Herman Marquez to the fold. I think could be a solid rotation as well, but we'll see. Last takes from us to discussion. So we're going to talk about this opening day stuff with Netflix and then the NL Central rotation rankings to close out. So opening day, Netflix is going to be hosting its broadcast, first ever MLB game between the San Francisco Giants and the New York Yankees on March 25th. So they're looking to have Barry Bonds and CC Sabathia call on the game, part of the crew calling the game. I think this would be sick. And the numbers this would do for opening day Netflix stream to watch Bonds and CC Sabathia call the game. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I do like just in the first place that Netflix is having like an opening game. I mean, like the NFL does, where they have like the inaugural game to start the season. I really like MLB's doing that instead of just opening day. Obviously, yeah, next I still opening day, but I like the one game just to really highlight the sport is back, give it a prime time game. I love that. I think like the Sabathia and Bonds thing would be pretty cool to hear them talk. Obviously, two Hall of Fame players should be Hall of Fame, but you bring
Sure.
those guys in, that could be very good. I mean, their insights. The only thing would be like, you saw it like with Tom Brady, like in the booth in the NFL, like his first year, just because you know everything doesn't mean you're going to be good in the booth. That's kind of the way I think about it. I don't know how they would be in the booth. Now saying you can't improve and become better, and they're not going to get tested and all this and improve if they do get signed. But I think the name that'd be really cool. I'm someone though that kind of watches the game, and I really enjoy a good booth. I care more about the quality of it, not who is in the booth. But I mean, if you get to listen to Barry Bonds talk baseball and see Sabathia talk pitching, I mean, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm big like have you ever seen that like Bonds when he walks through his at bat versus who was it? Was it Maddox or Pedro? Do you know what I'm
Was it the one
talking
against
about?
Kanye, the MVP versus Cy Young one?
Yeah. Do you remember what I'm talking about though?
Yeah, I think Dean's posted it before on the account.
Okay. So like that just hearing Bonds go through it, like if you like that's what like I was like, oh my God, like this isn't like that's what kind of sold me honestly. It was like it's not just the PEDs. Like this guy was a complete player, knowledge, talent, some PEDs. um, but I don't know. Just like he really impressed me with that. And I know he's a pro player, like he should know what he's talking about. But it was just like I don't know the breakdown of pitch by pitch. Like he knew what was gonna go on, and it was insane. I'm gonna go find that after this and go watch it actually. So NL Central rankings. Let's talk about it. Want to work backwards to forwards as always.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we both have Cardinals as number 5. The Cardinals rotation this year, I think that it's abysmal. I don't think that they're very much looking to win a lot of games. They're resetting the team right now. Their number one guy is Matthew Liberator. Dustin May is the SP2, Andre Palante's 3, Michael McGreevy's 4, and Kyle Leahy's 5. That being said, the positive news, they have quite a few guys in Takoa Roby, Quinn Matthews, and Tink Hence all in the pipeline who could be big time arms for them. We don't know how they're going to pan out, but Hagen, what do you think that those prospects are going to get the job done, or is St. Louis going to have to do some trading here to acquire either more prospect depth or land some big arms in next offseason?
They're not going to get it done. I mean, this rotation stinks. Like, I mean, I don't want to be mean, but, like, just like we talked about the Nationals last episode, like in my opinion, this rotation stinks. I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay. Number 4, we have different. So I have the Chicago Cubs. You have the Cincinnati Reds. Walk us through the Reds, and I guess because 1 and 2 for us are the same. So walk us through what made the Cubs over the Reds for you.
I don't know. This one was really tough for me. I mean, I really like the Cubs rotation, but just for the Reds, I'm kind of already regretting putting them 4. That just sounds crazy. I think this is more of a testament to the NL Central divisions pitching wise. They're just really good right now. But I mean, you look at like Hunter Green when he's on the mound, he's a top 10 pitcher in the sport. I mean, he's one of the best talents in Major League Baseball. I'm not a big Abbott guy. I know he was an All-Star last year. I'm not a big Andrew Abbott guy. I'm not a Brady Singer guy at all. Lodolo I like, but like this dude's never on the field. That's just why him and Hunter Green are just they always have some sort of injury, and they're only going to start like 20 games for you, 25 games. But then Chase Burns is really damn good, and you have Red Lauder's depth there too. I mean, they have the upside there is pretty nuts. It's just I'm so sick of just like buying in on guys every year and then they just hurt again. Like Nick Lodolo, this dude's due for 2 IL stints every single year, but he's a very good left-handed pitcher in baseball. Hunter Green always getting hurt too, which sucks. But it was honestly more for me. I just more trust the Cubs rotation for a full 162. The Reds for sure had the higher upside, I would say. But I mean, the Cubs, I know Matthew Boyd's going to have a regression this year, but you have him. Cade Horton was one of the best pitchers. I think he was top 5 in ERA in baseball in the second half last year. You have him. You have bounce back from Shota. You have Edward Cabrera in the fold there too, and you have Justin Steele too. Who's going to be coming back from injury. I know it's going to be he got UCL, so it's going to be a little bit hard for him to come back. But I just think I trust the Cubs rotation for a 162 over the Reds. But like if it was playoff series, I'm taking the Reds any day of the week.
Okay, that's a fair way to put it. I put the Reds simply, I think, because of that reasoning. Like the star power, what could come out of the Reds between Green, Lodolo, and Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns, like I think they have so much room for upside. With like Matthew Boyd, not to throw, he had a fantastic year last year. He's 35 years old, and that's probably the best we've ever seen him pitch. Was last year. Cade Horton, who knows if he's going to have any regression as a sophomore? And the same thing could happen for Chase Burns and Rhett Lauder, and like they're young, so we'll see. And then Hunter Green and Lodolo, like I think Lodolo is finally going to keep it together and be healthy this year, and that's why I'm like betting big because according to Fangraphs, like the power rankings right now for them, Matthew Boyd is power ranked as the 25th overall pitcher for his position. And then Lodolo's 26 and Hunter Green's 27. So, which is crazy that Lodolo's ranked above Hunter Green in the power rankings. But like, you know what I mean? They have two guys that top heavy, and then you tag in like Andrew Abbott and Brady Singer are both within the top 35 as well. And then when you look at the Cubs, after Matthew Boyd, the next highest ranked player is Edward Cabrera at 48, and they have Cade Horton as 74, Shota is 62, Jameson is 65. I just think that there's a big drop off for the Cubs in terms of talent. But this is like a power ranking. Who knows? I like Fangraphs, so I like to go off Fangraphs. But yeah. So that's my 4. I went with the Cubs. We'll see how that turns out. Well, I guess how do you want to judge this by the end of the year? Like Sierra or ERA? Like how do we want to evaluate who won these predictions?
I don't. I would think ERA would probably be the best. I would say ERA and innings pitched for like just the guys in the rotation.
Like like WAR based on the innings pitched from the
Yeah,
guys
pretty
in the
much.
rotation. All right,
I mean,
we'll
you can
take the
honestly
start.
just use WAR. I mean, WAR is basically for pitchers. Just it's like 85% of the calculations just innings pitched and WAR, or sorry, innings pitched and ERA. So WAR could be there, even though WAR is probably not the best way to evaluate pitchers.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure out a fair system. And then we got the number 2 team in the National League that we both agreed upon, the Milwaukee Brewers. So the Milwaukee Brewers are super, super interesting with their rotation as always. Let's start off with their number 1 pitcher, who they brought back is got to be Brandon Woodruff. So Woodruff I think he's a lower end SP1, but he is an SP1. And then they have Jacob Mizorowski, who, if he flourishes into what everyone thinks, he's not even 24 years old yet. Jacob Mizorowski is a fantastic number 2. Quinn Priester had a great 2025. Chad Patrick, and then Logan Henderson slotted for the 5 slot right now. And Logan Henderson looked flawless when he pitched in the MLB last year. It was injuries and people able to come back and return, which kind of kept him as the outside guy looking in. And now they have him. Now that they don't have Peralta. What do we think about this? Are you scared that we have a lot of like, I guess 3 through 5 can be suspect, even 2 through 5, depending on how you argue it, with Mizorowski only having 1 year. And like, yeah, he made the All-Star game, but it was like after like 6 games pitched or whatever it was. Like, what are your thoughts on Milwaukee? Obviously we think highly of them within the division, at least.
I mean, first off, Mizorowski and being an all-star is the reason why I hate when people say a player is an X-time all-star, is because reasons like that. But this rotation, I mean, I'm all in on it. I love this rotation. It's the Brewers. You know they're going to be good every single year. Like, you didn't even mention, like, Brandon Sproat right now is the 6th guy in that rotation. Going to start in the minor leagues probably unless he wins the job there. I mean, there's going to be one pretty good pitcher in the minor leagues between Chad Patrick, Logan Henderson, and Brandon Sproat. All times, most likely, he's going to be one of those guys in the minor leagues. I love Quinn Priester. I know his underlying metrics aren't the best, but this guy gets ground balls like nobody else in baseball. That's huge to get out of jams and stuff like that. And he's going to get a lot of innings for you too. Woodruff, if he's healthy, it's just hard because he had the shoulder injuries last few years. I think if he was fully healthy and I just knew I could trust him to be out there and give you 180 innings, I honestly wouldn't. I would have thought about putting them over the Pirates, but I would have if they had Freddie too. But it's just hard because, like you're saying, like I don't really like Woodruff as my one, but he is still a very very good pitcher. I mean, Mizorowski too. I mean, this guy is nuts. We all know he's an insane talent. It just can he kind of hone in the zone a little bit and be able to do that for a full season?
Yeah. Are you able to hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
All right, I had a mic glitch. And then I do want to talk about two things I've noticed, but we'll talk about the Pirates and what I noticed. So Pirates, we both being led by their fearless leader, Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is Cy Young winner from last year, arguably the best pitcher in the game of baseball. I don't think he is right now. But I think he will be, and I think that he's damn close, if not like considered the number one right now behind Tarek Skubal. But this isn't just a Paul Skeens show. We're talking like Mitch Keller's number two, Braxton Ashcraft at three, Bubba Chandler's pitching in the four, Jose Urquidy is right now slotted at the five, and that doesn't include they have Jared Jones on the IL still, who's going to come back into this, and they got young prospects who like can get the call, who are good, very good. So let's talk about the Pirates' depth real quick, and then I want to point out my one fun fact I saw in the Pirates in another familiar system.
I mean, yeah, I mean, just the Pirates is just such a good rotation. I mean, even like their depth, like if Hunter Barco and Thomas Harrington are guys who could just fill in immediately, they're on the 40 man. That's pretty good options for your sixth and seventh guys there. I mean, it just so yeah, any rotation has Paul Skeens, it's already gonna be very high on the list because you have at worst the second best pitcher in the world, and he's 24, 25 years old too. So you have that. That's going to help your rotation there a ton. Obviously, too, Keller, he's a back end guy. You know what he's going to get from every single year. It's stability. But you get guys like Braxton Ashcraft can be very damn good. Bubba Chandler, just the top pitcher prospect in baseball going into last year. Jose Urquidy, I don't really care about that fifth spot. I don't think Urquidy's going to be there that much. But I mean, there's a lot of upside in this rotation. And there's a guy like Jared Jones. By the end of the year, he should be back coming off internal brace surgery, and he'll be back in the rotation too. And then it's like that rotation's upside is just it's insane.
So, what I noticed is where would you put the Pirates rotation overall? Would you say it's a top 10 rotation in baseball, top 5 rotation in baseball? How high are you willing to go?
It's hard without having all the teams in front of me and have to list. I would probably say like top 10 around there.
Okay, that's fair. And I think the Pirates are set up very familiar, like with the Mariners. They just a lot of prospects who could throw right now, and it seems like they got the arm thing down, where they're going to continue to produce in-house arm talent, and make these little signings. Like for the Mariners, there's Luis Castillo, who's a little bit bigger than little signing, but they didn't have to like Brian Wu in-house, George Kirby in-house, Logan Gilbert in-house. Um, and you look at the names they have coming up, like that kid Kate Anderson, Ryan Sloan. They're all going to be in-house arms that are massive arms, the same way that Hunter Barco, Thomas Harrington, Xander Muth, like these are all going to be in-house guys for the Pirates, and that's Skeens in-house, Bubba Chandler in-house, like Mitch Keller. I'm pretty sure did he come up through Pittsburgh, or was he part of like the Houston deal for Garrett Cole of some sort?
Yeah, he's in. I mean, the only guy right now out of those pitchers that we listed that isn't from Pittsburgh, like the only starting pitcher, they have eight guys right now, nine guys in the 40-man roster starting pitcher wise. Only one of them is not from Pittsburgh originally, and that's Jose Urquidy.
Okay. The big thing I noticed with these two systems, every single pitcher in both their rotations is a righty. They have no lefties. Hunter Barco would be the first lefty and he's not coming up right away. Like he might get some starts this year. He'll be the first lefty for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then if I check out the Mariners prospects, I think I don't is Ryan Sloan, but he's still so young. He's not going to
But
play for a while.
Sloan's a righty, but Kate Anderson's a lefty. You probably see him like he'd be up there pretty soon.
Kate Anderson, he was in rookie ball in 2025. When do you think he's going to get called?
People think there's a chance probably next season he could be in the rotation.
He's 21 still. Like that, and like, and I know people are like, oh, there's 18 year. It's like no, like in baseball, that really doesn't happen that often. Like 21 is extremely young to make the pros. We'll see. Like he was pitching at LSU in 2025. That's
He was
so
starting
nuts.
opening, like his opening day was literally this weekend a year ago.
Yeah, like, um, geez. All right. Well, point is, I just thought it was interesting. A lot of good pitchers, and they just all elected to not go for lefties. They're all going for righties right now. But that was the really big call out for me. Hagen, anything else to talk about before we let the people go? Or I think just over the hour mark.
No, I'm pretty good. I mean, that was a good show. I mean, I honestly didn't even realize that. Like, I don't even know how I didn't realize that Seattle was that same way too, especially with that rotation being talked about is I'll be the best in baseball. So I think it was a good call out there.
Thanks. I was just like fiddling around. I was like, when I was doing my top five rotation, like all my rotations on X that I've been putting out, just like looking through how these are going to fold out. I was like, Seattle has zero lefties and they're this good. I was like, and then I noticed it as I'm doing the Pirates tomorrow, and it's like, they don't have any lefties either. Like, it's just weird. Some of these nuances and like how people want to put together their teams, it's fascinating. And that's the best part about baseball. You could so many moving parts that you could put together to formulate a winning ball club.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really is. I mean, especially too, like it's interesting in this case, like the Mariners and the Pirates are seemingly the same way too, where it's like you definitely would probably want a lefty in there, but it's like kind of like at the same time they're just like we developed all these guys and we just found like five righties who could give us arguably the best rotation of baseball. Like I don't think we're gonna complain about not having a lefty because how good our rotation is, but like we like one. But
It's like kind of like it's not being a one trick pony, but it's like, hey, this is Alabama football. We're gonna run the ball down your throat, and we're just gonna do it over and over. And like, if you have guys who could shove every day on the mound, why does it matter if they're righty or lefty? Like, not every lineup is for that being like right being a righty. It's advantageous to pitch against the lefty, and versus who's better at hitting from what side of the plate, Hagen? I would argue lefties are better than righties from at the plate. If you look at the all-time power hitters, lefties are. It seems to be that way. No,
I mean, if you give me like 10 seconds here, I can get you a number here on that.
like, but lefties just are monsters. Like I don't know. The best, I guess, you have Judge, who's a righty right now, and same with some others. But like Mike Trout's a righty, but Shohei is Alonso a lefty?
Lonzo's a righty.
He's a righty. All right, what are you showing for the numbers here?
So let me see this. Okay, yeah, so it's saying that just from last year alone, just if you're going just against the opposite handed as a hitter, so like right handers are facing left handers are facing right handers. It says that just WRC plus, just league average is 100, that right handed pitching versus left handed hitters, 108 WRC plus. Left handed pitching against um, right handed hitters would be a 100 WRC plus. So your point is backed up there that left handed hitters are better, at least last year.
Yeah, am I mistaken? Right hand batters have I guess more of a strategic advantage with higher overall power numbers than lefties, but I always thought it was lefties. I just did. And now I'm like being humbled looking at this. But we should do a righty versus lefty show at one point. Like look up like best lefties, best righties, and just go down the line for each position.
Yeah, honestly, could I feel the left-handers would probably be the more like iconic names, just off the top of my head, thinking about it without even looking at any numbers. Like I just think about it. Then you got to remember there's guys that are just like nuts. I mean, like Aaron Judge get brought up in the right hand conversation there.
Who's the best lefty hitter of all time?
Bonds.
Bonds. Okay. I'm trying to think who else would be up there. Louis, Freddie Freeman's lefty. Corey Seager,
Ted Williams would be up there.
Rice, Harper, Shohei, Corbin Carroll's a lefty. Kyle Tucker's
Oh,
a
sorry, you're
lefty.
speaking only guys in the league right now. I thought you were saying all time here.
Oh no, I'm just looking at all time. I'd love to know, but right now I'm just like looking like at all these lefties who are monsters.
I mean, like Harper's another guy too that we had. Like I mean, just like looking up right now, just like WRC plus, like the best left-handers last year: Otani, Soto, Schwarber, Michael Bush, Freddie Freeman, Corbett Carroll, Matt Olson, Kyle Tucker, Rafael Devers, Bryce Harper. Like, there's just the list is pretty nuts. I mean, that's pretty much some of those guys in the top 10.
If you look at the lefties best all time, Ty Cobb, Joe Jackson, Teddy Williams, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. Like there's some Stan Musial, Wade Boggs, Rod Carew. A lot of Hall of Famers that are lefties, but I guess it's either or. It's a coin flip, right? Like it's 50-50, but most likely. But interesting talk. But I'm done. I want to let everyone get out of here. Do you have anything else you want to bring up, or you all get on your end?
Just a random stat that I found, just like sitting here and going through this, is last year Spencer Torkelson was the 27th best right-handed hitter by WRC plus in Major League Baseball.
Maybe Detroit has a way. Maybe they do. Um, Interesting. Outside of that, let's close them out. So thank you all for listening. Follow us on social media. Be sure to grab your merch off our store on the website. Read some of the articles posted this week. I've been very slow on them to start the new year, but I will be whipped into shape because I'm going to get a text from Dean here any day now, just like, what the F? So I will get on that. And then I think that's it for news and notes. Go check out Stat Soldier Dean's website that he created to create your own analytics and, media for your tweets or your friends to show certain stats and statistics. It's a very interesting site. So that's statsoldier.com. All right. Bye.